happens sometimes. Recording, interesting. Okay. So back a few months ago, the Winters Fire Chief Jack Snyder suggested getting some Knox boxes, which are the Knox box is sort of the industry standard. It's a very secure system of locks to you have to register to get a key, and each fire department registers. They're used throughout the country. I've been coordinating with Chief Lawrence from Esparto, who cannot be here this evening because he has a house full of small children. Basically, as you know from the agenda, we'd like to add $15,000 to the Knox box project. And Chief Lawrence is working with all the Western fire protection districts, so Capay, Madison, Esparto, Winters, and a small piece of the Dunnigan fire districts to put Knox locks on private gates, so the individual chiefs will work with the individual landowners in their districts, and that will allow access, easy access, without delays, without property damage of cutting gates or cutting fences, and will save time and money and make the whole access efficient. And again, this is with landowners' permission. So Chief Lawrence has done a basic survey of those fire protection districts, and we have an estimate of about $15,000 to purchase all the locks. They are pretty expensive, but that's because they're specially keyed. So there'll be padlocks with special keys, and then there's a few situations where there might be a box with an entry key and a code inside. So that is the action item. Again, the Knox, it's really secure, so individual landowners will not have to be concerned about that lock being breached. And it's also very obvious that it's a fire lock, bright red. So that is the information that I have. If anyone has any questions about that. If you read the coordinator report, the funding will be coming from another project that got scaled down, which is the West Winters, or not the West Winters, but the Creekside project that the fire chiefs were not that concerned about, behind Puda, or along Puda Creek. Any questions about that?
Thank you guys for working on that. The way that I've been hearing about it, we're talking about a common lock for all of the areas on the west side. So it seems like it would not only be my agency, but potentially the closest responding agencies coming in that would be able to get to these residents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just streamlining access, protecting property from damage by you guys when you're entering during an emergency, and also just keeping things simple. And then you don't have to go back and fix things that you had to damage for access.
Any other questions or discussion?
I'll make the motion that we do the thing.
All right. And a second.
I'll second it.
You have a motion and a second. I'll call the question, or for the question again. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. It's passed unanimously. So we're on to item 8, the AT&T rural phone service update.
Did you guys skip over the taking money away from the Grant Line Road and giving it to OES item that I saw on the agenda?
That was deferred to another meeting.
That's
Yeah,
tabled.
we
Got it. Sorry, I joined late. I had to update.
Yep.
So, yeah, there was a community meeting about AT&T's rural phone service ending, and Supervisor Frerich's office is sort of leading the charge on gathering information. And Tara, are you available
Yes.
to give a little update and answer any possible questions? So this is something that rural folks, is a concern for people in rural areas with poor cell reception.
Yes. So I'm not sure how many people saw the announcement for this. So in short, AT&T is requesting the California Public Utility Commission for permission to stop being the user of last resort. Basically, they're asking for a process for long-term to stop servicing copper lines. What they are saying the reason is because they say that the companies that provide the switches and the different parts to maintain those copper lines are no longer in business or no longer providing that service. So in the long run, they won't be able to maintain these lines. I think also part of this is because fewer and fewer, they have communicated that fewer and fewer customers are using copper lines only, that it's a lot of money for them to maintain, and they want to invest in other products that make them more money. But so the county has taken a position, has written 2 letters of opposition for this, because what the county has said is you need to have another solution in place for those in particular. Like, it's one thing if you're removing the copper landlines in urban woodland when people have an option to do voice over IP for a landline. But the concern is when it's in our more rural areas where it's our only access point. And frankly, one of the most powerful points that I heard, like not only just residents, but even 911 dispatch, there are some towers in western rural Yolo County that are serviced by T1 lines, which are copper lines. And that enables radio communication during fires. And so if there's no other access to those radios, then there's no communication out there. And so what AT&T, so anyway, so Supervisor Frerichs and the county's Board of Supervisors hosted a town hall meeting where we invited AT&T to come, and to their credit, they brought Mark Blakeman, who is the president of all of, kind of Western, the United States, California, up to Alaska, Nevada, other areas. So they had higher level come join and to be available and answer questions. What they say is that even if CPUC approves all of their requests tomorrow, and it's just actually, in truth, I don't know when it's actually being approved by CPUC or when it's going to them. I am asking that. If that were to happen tomorrow, that doesn't mean they're cutting off the copper lines, that there's a longer process before they could disable them, and they have to actually get permission from the FCC, the feds, and prove that residents have a viable alternative, is the language they use. They must have a viable alternative before they're allowed to cut off the copper lines. So sorry, I don't know if I'm sharing too much. I'm just trying to kind of give some background. So in short, there is a commenting process where people can submit comments, and then it'll go to the CPUC. So this is something we're closely monitoring. I think there's just a difference of opinion. They're saying, we just want to know the guidelines so we know how to proceed with eventually shutting down these lines. And I think a lot of the community is saying, great, but you need to make sure everyone has service before you go through that process, because we don't trust you that there's going to be a viable alternative before you shut things down. And Kate Laddish was at the session as well. So I don't know if anyone has anything else to add, or if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Sounds like you covered it. Thank you so much. And thank you, Supervisor Frerichs, for tracking that, following that closely.
And Tara, I just want to underscore quickly what Tara said about the, it certainly caught my attention about the towers that are needed for radio, for first responder communication, that those being served by copper lines, and that if copper lines are no longer served, then then that communication's gone. And I think there was also a question from somebody from Yolo County. I think it was the 911 dispatch. And Terry, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those were some really strong points and concerns that are certainly relevant to this organization.
Well, that finishes that. Are we ready to move on to our regular reports?
So,
Uh,
okay, well, I'll coordinate I'll call on our reporters. So top of the list is Battalion Chief Trevin Close, who's going to give a update on situation on the ground, which is nice and green, from Trevin.
Good afternoon. It is fuel moisture report for Sonoma Lake Napa unit came out last week. It's not surprisingly trending up, well above critical moisture levels. For staffing in the Sonoma Lake Napa unit right now, we are still at staffing level 1, which is 7 engines in the whole unit. Looking like tentatively April 15th we'll go to staffing level 2, which will give us 1 engine per battalion. That'll put the engine in our battalion at Wilbur Springs in Colusa County. Tentatively, we're looking at June 3rd for staffing level 3, which would be 1 engine per station, and that would put an engine at Brooks in Yolo County. These dates are tentative, dependent on weather and fuels changing, so they could go forward or back, but that is all from me.
Great, thank you. Next we have the Yolo County Office of Emergency Services, who are doing lots of planning.
I don't know if Chris is on or not, but I'll give a quick one for with regards to the veg management stuff related to the early action funding. There's a lot of work being done over in West Winters. A few projects up in Cape Hay are being done. One's actually completed up there as well. And with all the notice, we're getting a lot more people now asking for interest that didn't ask for interest before. So we are, moving along. And I know Jesse asked about the potential of moving funds from the Grant Line Road fire break project over. And that's the reason we're considering it. But that's another conversation later down the road. We want to make sure that project is squared away. But if there's anybody out there that knows anybody that didn't get anything done yet, let me know, or have them get in contact with me. We're kind of making second rounds right now on people, making sure that they're all within the program. And I think right now I've got actively about a half dozen different sites throughout the county with the veg projects going on. So unless there's any questions, that's all I got for the fire stuff.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you. In terms of my updates, I want to appreciate everyone who did submit the EOP comments. It was very, very helpful, and we're still finalizing that for the EOP specifically. In terms of the Neighborhood Ready program, we've been receiving a lot of positive feedback, which has been amazing. And I'm still working on not finalizing, but improving the draft forms that we have currently to hopefully finalize that in the upcoming weeks or months or so. Thank you very much. And if anyone has any more questions or feedback or comments about it, feel free to reach out to our office or myself, and we'll be happy to help with that as well. Thank you.
Oh, Kristen, you're off mute, but we can't hear you. Which is very strange. She gave up. Oh, darn. Okay, well, Kristen, if you figure out your technical difficulties, please feel free to jump back in. Kate, what were you gonna say?
No, I'm just gonna say, here's a filler if Kristen, if you're working on settings or something, but I mean, to everybody from OES, I've just been really impressed by all the work that's happening and all the public outreach and, the different opportunities and just kind of the different way of thinking about some different things like neighborhood ready and the different way of reaching out and making sure that their comments coming in on the emergency operations plan and all sorts of different things, and including the kind of rejiggering of YOLO alert. I really appreciate it. It's just a really welcome approach. So thank you for everything you're doing.
And Elaine has a question.
Yeah, I just reviewed the Neighborhood Ready program and it's just excellent. The idea is to try and get neighborhoods to prepare for disasters by neighborhood. So it's almost like neighborhood watch for disaster preparedness. And it's a great idea. I think the material is going to be invaluable. And I assume it'll probably be eventually posted to the county's website.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. We're still going through the feedback that we've received. And once it's been finalized, we'll be sharing that on our website, creating pamphlets to share out to the community as well, so they could have the hands-on of the draft versions and so forth.
Can I sneak in with a quick question on that? Because I haven't sent you my comments yet. But that some of it seems really more applicable to some of the rural areas, such as neighbors banding together to make a fire break, that might be a little more difficult in an urban setting. And so I didn't know if there's different approaches with those, or if that's something that I should just include in the comments.
We're still working on those little tweaks here and
Cool.
there, but we'll be more than happy to get those comments and see how we can play with those and with those specific areas in the rural parts of the county as well.
Okay,
But
great. Oh, thanks. It's really exciting.
Thank you for all your comments as well, Kate. They've been very helpful and useful in our plans.
Thanks.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Gave up with the computer, went to the AirPods. So just to add on to some of the things Chris said, we'll be taking the emergency operation plan to the board in May. I think it'll be the last meeting date in May. I can't remember that off the top of my head. Onto the neighborhood ready stuff, to add a little bit to what Chris said too, is coming up in April. We had Rancho Yellow out of Davis raise their hands to trial the program and give us feedback. So we're going to be meeting with them on the 23rd and starting a trial of the neighborhood ready document, so we can start tweaking how we need to change it before we go to mass printing and figuring out how we distribute it. So if anyone else has any desire, any communities who would love to try our neighborhood ready, reach out to us, because we would love to get it out there and work out the issues before it hits. And then outside of that, we are slowly transitioning to our new Everbridge system, which will be separate from the Placer. It used to be SAC and Placer. And we're working on some exciting changes where we hope to be improving the system for accessibility, and information on how community members opt in. And so more to come on that. It will be moving kind of quick as the summer rolls around, but just wanted to keep your eyes out for that. And last update, because this group got the presentation from Genesis, the Zone Haven, on our evacuation zones and making our zones more smart. We have gone forward with the contract, and I have a meeting next week to start putting a timeline together to roll out the system. So more to come with that too. So we have a lot of exciting things going on, and we hope to provide more updates.
Thank you. Okay, the next report is me, and I'm going to quickly share my screen. So everyone received this last week, our project update. I'll just highlight a few things, but I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any questions. So we got our fuel reimbursement, homes cleanup, when that gets started. We're working on a possible burn along Highway 16 outside of Cape Hay. We have our mapping program that Chief Capitano is working on. Rumsey Ditch Vegetation Management. We've got our Rumsey Buffer and Firewise certification. So there was a community meeting in Rumsey a couple weeks ago that was great. One in Gwenda either already happened or is coming up. And then the West Winters State Highway 128 fuels reduction is going great. At the beginning of this month, in March, there was almost a mile of shaded fuel break installed along the south side of Highway 128 near Poudre Creek Fishing Access. And then next week, the crew will be out there for 3 more days, continuing along the south side of the road. And just to highlight with the budget, so the Delta crews, we had budgeted 150,000 for this, but the Delta crews are way less than that. So if they can keep moving down the road, that'll free up more funding for other veg projects. And also that will need to be maintained annually, but every year that we go through there, it'll be easier and easier. So that'll be a total of 4.5 miles from the resort down to Pleasance Valley Road. And then the other projects, so the Creekside fuel reduction, this is, again, if you remember, I met with Chief Snyder and Captain Marquez, and they weren't that worried about it. They said, let's focus more on the rural areas. So that's where the Knox box funding is coming from. And then the same with the Winters West Side buffers. So we took some money out of that and moved them to the fire awareness signs that are in process. And then the, so last month you guys added some funding to that. And then the final, so the chipper program is still ongoing. We have funds for that when they're needed. And then the Knox box. So does anyone have any questions about any of those projects? It's a lot of balls to keep in the air. And then I'm doing the grants report as well. So we have our Google spreadsheet. If you're interested in small grants, it's quite well organized. I'm going to drop that link in the chat for people who want to look at it. And then there's another link I'm going to put in the chat. There's a program that has individual support for projects related to community development. So if you don't have a lot of experience writing grant, you get sort of a case manager assigned to you to help locate funding and provide other supports for project development free of charge. So that sounds like a really lovely service for folks doing community work. Just as an aside, I got a call from someone up in Nevada County yesterday who was asking how to do an address sign program. So I referred her to this, like small grants can help you with this to get going. And then we're also hoping to work with any community-based organizations that speak Spanish to continue our whole community outreach. So if anyone has any feedback on that, please let me know. And that is it for the grant update. Also to say, we did apply for funding from the California Fire Safe Council to continue the county coordinator, which is basically me coordinating the Fire Safe Council, since our CAL FIRE grant that started this is ending in a week. And so that'll be for Kate Reza to continue grant writing, Allie to continue her amazing outreach, and me to coordinate the Fire Safe Council. So that got submitted March 13th. And we should hear any day if we receive that. But it's a non-competitive grant. It's which means we're very likely to get it. And that is it. So Kate, it looks like you have questions.
Yep, just really quickly, in terms of language for Spanish, the City of Winters Hispanic Advisory Committee and the Winters Community Corazon would both be really good organizations to reach out to.
Right, thank you. Yeah, we've had some overlap with them, but not too much, but good tip. Thank you for the reminder. Does anyone have any other questions about projects or grants? So I'm going to turn it over to Allie for YOLO PBA update and outreach information.
All right. Hi, everyone. The YOLO PBA update is kind of the same as last month. Bailey is still working with some landowners to get some some stuff planned, and hopefully we'll have news for that soon. Once we get everything planned, I'll send it, you know, to our PBA mailing list and then to our Fire Safe Council mailing list so everyone knows what's going on. Likely the sites will be up in the Capay Valley on some private landowner property that wants to do some fuels management and pile burning and stuff. For just general outreach updates, I sent out a March newsletter. Hopefully everyone got that to their inbox. I'm going to try to send out monthly newsletters throughout, you know, as fire season progresses, just to remind folks to do their fuels management and all of that. So yeah, be expecting a newsletter to your inbox at least monthly. And then for other just general outreach updates, we'll be sending out maybe possibly some more community mailers and flyers and writing in newspapers and all of that just for fire season stuff. And then we have a tabling event at the Yolo Basin Foundation's Duck Days, which is on April 27th. It's a full day event, so we'll have some staff staffing up booth, a RCD and Fire Safe Council booth to share some information and all of that. Let me know if there's anything that you want me to highlight at that meeting or at that outreach event. And then for chipper and address sign program, we finally had a chipper day on, I think it was March 14th. And we had 4 properties that we visited up in the Capay Valley. I haven't had any requests since then. So like I mentioned, I'm going to be sending out some flyers and community outreach to hopefully get more folks to sign up for those. Same with the address sign program. We've had a couple of requests here and there. So that's still going. And then for the highway awareness signs, we're working to figure out some stuff on the back end for installation for the larger signs. But we're thinking we're going to go ahead and purchase the smaller signs because those are much easier to install at the pullouts. So hopefully those will be out soon once we get those through fabrication and buy the posts and have someone on our staff get out there and install them. So I think that's my update. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to take those now.
Ellie, I have a quick question. I think these signs are really exciting, and given the number of fires that have been started by people dragging their tow chains and this sort of thing, I'm wondering if it's possible to have put some signs or have some sort of information at places like the marinas or gas stations, or coordinate with since the marinas are over in Napa County, but the gas stations here in Yolo County, if there's a way to just kind of get some information to where people are going to be.
Yeah, that's a good thought. We've kind of toyed with the idea of like leaving flyers at local businesses and stuff, but we've actually never thought of gas stations. So that's a good idea. We'll keep that in mind.
Oh,
Thanks, Kate.
that'd be great. The number of people who are towing boats who stop in winters to fuel up on the way up to the lake is.
Yeah, or like the Starbucks or something, right off of the highway. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Cool, thank you. I see Chris from Solano RCD. If you could give us an update, that would be great.
Yeah, I have a few things from the other side of the creek to report on. The number one thing is we had a plant sale this last Saturday, in which there were a bunch of partners there and Fire Safe Councils. It was a plant sale with a twist. So we actually had wildfire interest there and booths from multiple Fire Safe Councils there. But it was a good day. Solano RCD started a hazard tree program last year where we got funding from California Association of RCDs, with the funding emanating from the U.S. Forest Service to remove hazard trees on mostly along Pleasants Creek. As this basically from the LNU fire, there are quite a few trees that never came back and are still dead on the sides of Pleasants Creek. And these are all trees. There's been a number of trees that have already fallen down. We hope to where we have money, well, some money, not all the money. But we have some money and we are working on permitting and working on, we sent out an RFP for RPF, if you can figure that one out. To start the process of prioritizing trees and actually taking them down, hopefully late this summer and then next summer. With the idea of taking the trees down before they fall in the creek and clog culverts and bridges and cause bigger issues. The Solano County, I just actually got off the Solano Fire Safe Council meeting, and they're planning on having a community wildfire preparedness day on May 4th. The location of the day, the community day, is not going to be about like a 10 to 4, 10 actually 10 to 2, I think is what they stated on the event, and we're just now starting to plan it. So Solano RCD is going to be a partner in that at some level. Ali had mentioned PBA, and in Solano we have had 4 PBA meetings throughout the county, and we have our 5th this Thursday at Fire Station, I think 64 off Vine Street in Vacaville. It's at 5:30 to 7. And we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite topic, liability, and how you can go to prison for doing the wrong thing, for starting a fire that gets out of control. Anyway, actually, no, to inform people of the boundaries around PBA and burning, and it's good. And we're looking forward to continuing that search. There seems to be there's a lot of interest in Solano County about having a prescribed burn association. But we're at the very beginning stages, and we'll see where it goes. That's all I have.
Awesome. So much going on. So now we're going to hear reports from our community fire safe councils, who are also very busy. So I see Moira here from the Capay Valley. So in alphabetical order, Capay Valley Fire Protection District Fire Safe Council.
What a mouthful, huh?
I know.
So as Tanya already mentioned, we did have a Firewise community meeting. It happened to be in Rumsey. We are not seeking certification for Rumsey as a single entity. We're going for Firewise certification for Gwenda and Rumsey as one community. That came after a discussion, an in-depth discussion with Rochelle Sherlock with Pleasance Valley Fire Safe Council and Firewise Community. She's already gone through all this, a little over a year into it. And she advised us to, since our populations are so low up here, to actually join the 2 towns into one Firewise community. So that's where we're going. We've already started. And that first meeting was just to tell the public what we're doing. And we're getting started on property assessments from the road. So we don't have to ask anybody for permission to come on their property. Long story short. The next meeting is in Gwenda, but it's the identical meeting to the one we held in Rumsey. So we had both Rumsey and Gwenda residents up there and a few people from Brooks. And so the next meeting will just be on a different day of the week, different date entirely, so that the people who couldn't come to the first one can come to the second one. We had a really good turnout, lots of engagement. Our fire chief was there. We had Tracy Cattleman as well. And Rochelle Sherlock came and helped. Tanya was there to help. And I think I'm missing somebody, and I can't remember who it was. It was our speakers. I think that was it, actually. That was everybody. So it was very, very productive. And we're also getting ready to start some of our defensible space projects. We have 5 we're doing this year. There's a teeny tiny chance that Team Rubicon's going to come help us with 1 or 2 of them. They are still not sure of their schedule. And I think that's about it, unless Jesse or Jonathan, you want to add anything? Sounds like I covered it. There we go.
Well, I told a few people at the beginning of the meeting, but I don't know if I announced that the Cape Bay Valley Fire Department is now released. Funds have been released, so these guys are able to purchase equipment to help make their defensible space work go better, faster, and stronger.
Yeah, Tanya informed us of that a little bit earlier today, and
Mhm.
we are beyond excited. The shopping list was made a long time ago for the actual grant application, and so we're ready to go shopping. Tonight, we will finalize who's going to do the shopping. So we'll get going on it pretty quick so that we have some brand new tools to use to help our neighbors with their defensible space work.
Yay, thank you. Napa Firewise is not here. Actually, Sherry Gardner is up at the Wildland Urban Interface Conference in Reno. That's a thing. But they updated their dashboard on their Project Hub site. So I'm just gonna put that in the chat if you want to see a really cool dashboard of projects. And then that is that for Napa. Reveille, are you? There she is. Can you give a Pleasant Valley Fire Safe Council report?
I have nothing but good news, very good news. One is that one of our neighbors, Chris Garcia, has agreed to be the volunteer battalion chief for Station 68 on Canal Lane. We're ecstatic because we've not had anybody at our firehouse here in our neighborhood. It's a pretty long time to get help coming up from Napa. Which brings me to the second thing, which I have nothing but praise for Jack Snyder at the Winters Fire Fire Department and the City Council of Winters, and they signed an agreement for an enhancement for dispatch. So instead of having 911 go, oh fudge, you're in Solano, you're not in Yolo County, and then there's a big delay. But now with the enhancement, if there's great danger to people dying or whatever, that they'll dispatch immediately. It'll be seamless, and I'm sure it'll have a great effect for people who go down at Cold Canyon and whatever this summer to have Chris helping with that. And then the next thing is the RCD plant sale was terrific. They hired they attracted a tremendous number of really interested parties. There was a group that came down from Angwin, and they were interested in what people do in scrappy little towns. And so they were in the right place. So there it is. Good news all around.
Thank you. And then Kira's here from the West Winters Fire Safe Council.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm driving, so I apologize. Hopefully you can hear me.
We can.
Good. Just a few announcements. So we did have a table at the Solano RCD plant sale this past weekend. So it was really great, as was already mentioned, and we did have a few people come up and ask us what we were doing, since we really didn't have anything else. But it was really great to connect with people. We hope to do more of that, spread the word around even more. And following Rumsey's lead, we are also launching into the process of becoming a Firewise USA certified community. So we are just getting going on that and excited about that. And then finally, from the grant that was provided, I think it was 1 or 2 years ago, they finally started work in our community of Golden Bear to remove some of the large eucalyptus trees. So they've been doing that little by little, and it's looking great. So that's pretty much all I have for now. Thanks.
Thank you. Whew, it's a lot going on. So of all those reports, that was a ton of information. Does anyone have any questions at this time? All right, that's it for reports. Jonathan, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right. Well, I'm I'm guessing with the topics and the time of the year that we're going to plan on meeting on the 24th of April. Hearing no objections to that, I guess that we will need we'll set the meeting for Wednesday, April 24th, and I suppose we need a motion and second and a vote to adjourn.
I'll move that we adjourn.
All right.
I'll second. KP Valley.
All right. Hearing no discussion, all in favor, say aye or
Aye. Aye.
and opposed, nay. All right. Well, thank you and look forward to seeing you in April.
Thank you.